CNN host Kaitlan Collins is raising fresh questions over the Trump administration's attempt to revive the case against former Olympic canoeist David Hearn, even after prosecutors previously said there was no evidence to support the charges. The latest development comes as the White House appears to be pushing for the failed case against Hearn to be brought back, less than 2 days after Todd Blanche, Trump's former defense attorney, was sworn in to formally lead the Justice Department. And that timing is raising an unusual legal question. During a Tuesday night segment, Collins spoke with Norm Eisen, one of the lawyers who represented Hearn. Collins asked Eisen whether he could use U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's own filing to fight any renewed charges against Hearn, essentially asking whether this could become a case of the DOJ arguing against the DOJ. Eisen agreed, calling the situation unbelievable. He pointed back to Pirro's earlier filing, in which prosecutors said there was no evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that Hearn was responsible for the damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Instead, that filing said the damage was caused by a botched and rushed installation of the pool's new lining. That creates a major problem if prosecutors now try to revive the case against Hearn, because the government's own previous argument could become part of his defense. And this comes just days after Trump himself appeared to shift his position on what went wrong at the iconic Washington landmark. President Donald Trump is now admitting that contractors made a mistake on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, a notable shift after weeks of blaming alleged vandals for the damage. The iconic Washington, D.C. landmark has been drained yet again after parts of its newly installed American flag blue lining began peeling away. And the latest round of repairs comes after an already expensive renovation project that cost more than $16 million. Trump had previously pointed the finger at people he claimed deliberately damaged the pool, but now, for the first time, the president is acknowledging that the construction itself played a role. In a post on Truth Social Sunday night, Trump said the reflecting pool would be open shortly once the latest repairs are completed. But then came the admission. Trump wrote that, like many construction jobs, there had been some contractor error, saying the work was rushed in an effort to get the pool ready for a July 4th opening. He described the affected section as relatively small compared with the size of the massive pool. But that explanation comes after prosecutors reached a much more serious conclusion about what went wrong. The controversy began when damage appeared on the pool's new blue coating. Trump blamed vandals and claimed former Olympic athlete David Hearn had been caught by a National Park Service worker violently ripping at the pool's coating. But according to prosecutors, that wasn't the full story. A separate Park Service employee reportedly said the pool had already been damaged before Hearn touched it. And ultimately, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia dropped the charges against Hearn and others who had been accused of damaging the pool. The prosecutor's findings pointed instead toward problems with the installation itself. In a July 31 court filing, the U.S. Attorney's Office said the damage was caused by flawed installation by the contractor, combined with a rush to finish the project ahead of events surrounding the America 250 celebrations and Independence Day. The investigation found more than just one damaged patch. When U.S. Attorney's officials visited the site on July 17, they reportedly found extensive damage throughout the reflecting pool. Officials then requested records concerning the lining and how it had been installed. Those documents, prosecutors said, showed a rushed and flawed installation process, with repeated failures of the lining during installation and extensive peeling across the pool. But Trump's latest post was hardly a surrender. In the same Truth Social post, the president continued to point to Hearn, despite prosecutors dropping the case and finding evidence that the damage was already present before Hearn allegedly touched the coating. Trump claimed that a National Park Service employee, whom Trump described as a highly credible career employee, had witnessed Hearn in broad daylight violently ripping and tugging at the pool's coating. Trump said that the witness account had been provided to U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. At the same time, Trump acknowledged that there was no video or proof of the alleged vandalism beyond the damage itself. The latest repairs are expected to be completed soon. Trump has also said that more security cameras will be installed around the reflecting pool once it reopens. That means the famous landmark could soon have both a new lining and a whole lot more surveillance. But this latest post is actually a very different tone from where Trump stood just 1 week ago. On August 3rd, after prosecutors dropped the case against David Hearn, Trump turned his fury toward U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, accusing her of making a hasty decision and demanding that she reconsider it.
But these monuments look better than they did when they were originally built. Not just a little fix-up. We made them the way they were, plus. And everyone's so proud. The biggest, one of the bigger jobs was, not really the biggest, believe it or not, but one of the biggest was the reflecting pool. And we did a great job. We sandblasted the stone outside. It was granite, so it has a long life. We did a great job. We got very expensive material to put on top of the surface that always leaked because it was stone. It was a stone surface. Always leaked. And we put it on, and it was beautiful. Now, we have photographs or tapes, like moving cameras, right? We have them where people are on the side cutting it with a box knife. So now I'm not saying I was 100% thrilled with the contractor, but the contractor was rushing. We wanted to get it open for July 4th, and we got it done. But in addition, there was vandalism. Anyway, it looked beautiful. And then they cut it and they vandalized. And we weren't necessarily thrilled with the contractor, but they did a job and they were fixing any problems. But then it got carried away because the judge was extremely unfriendly to Jeanine. And frankly, I think she choked because the judge was really vicious. Instead of going after the people that did it, the judge went after her and went after her department. And I guess she choked. We essentially use a very high-grade swimming pool type material, which was my idea. I was very proud of that idea. And by the way, I didn't know the contractor. Everyone said the contractor. I didn't know the contractor. But when it was completed, it was perfect. And I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella. And people get away with things, and it's a disgrace. But we're very proud of Lafayette Park. Now we have a big decision to make. Do we take the pavers that are red, you know, the red brick pavers, and do we change them into a granite? It's a gray granite. They're beautiful, but they're not the original.